Okay, well, good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to the April 16th, 2021 agenda briefing. We'll jump right in. As you can see, we did have a couple presentations for Monday night, and then we'll go right into the consent agenda. So consent items 4A through 4C, any comments or questions? Next slide, please. Consent items 4D through 4H, any comments or questions? Hearing none, next slide, please. Consent items 4I through 4N, any comments or questions? Commissioners, just to let you know on consent item 4M, Commissioner Compton will recuse himself from that vote. I just specifically for that consent item when we make the motion to approve the consent and regular agenda on Monday night. Just a heads up. Any comments or questions? Next slide, please. Okay, we're going to go right into the benefit renewal presentation. Ms. Shelley.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Atkins. I think that you will all be very pleased with the presentation today of the renewal for our benefits. And with that, I would like to introduce our broker representative from USI, Linda Klein.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday.
Good morning, Linda. Welcome.
Welcome. Hope to see you guys in person next year. If we can go to the next slide, and maybe go to the next slide. All good news this year, a really good year. So I don't think this presentation will take too much time, but as much time as you need, and feel free to ask any questions. So the medical renewal from Blue Cross this year came in, we negotiated it to actual 5% decrease. It came in with a slight increase, but we were able to negotiate that down. So you can see everything in blue on this slide are savings to both the town and to employees. So you can see that there. The dental renewal with Aetna came in at a 6% increase. We negotiated that down from 8%. Plus, they're also offering the town an $8,000 premium credit on your billing. So a slight increase to dental. We'll talk more about that in a minute. No increase to your life insurance with Voya. That's in a rate guarantee until next year. The vision renewal came in at a almost 4% decrease, and you can see the savings there to both the town and the employees. The EAP, or the Employee Assistance Program with Aetna, we're actually recommending a change there, which we'll talk about in a minute. And with that change comes a slight decrease to what the town pays on behalf of the employees to access that program. And all the voluntary products through Unum, ARAG, Liberty Mutual for legal and disability, no increase. And then we're recommending adding voluntary pet insurance this year for employees. It's been a very popular benefit over the last years, especially with COVID, people getting new pets. And so we'll talk about that as well. So for all of your renewals, you can see here the total net savings to both the town and employees. Sorry, I hear an echo. Do y'all hear that?
Yes, can you make sure if everybody can be on mute? I'm hearing a lot of echo.
Oh, that's better. Thank you. I think we'll go to the next slide, and again, stop me if you have questions. So our recommendations for 2021, your renewals, they're all on July 1st. We recommend you renew with Blue Cross Blue Shield for medical and that 5% decrease. For dental, we recommend you renew with Aetna, and we're actually going to recommend introducing a dual choice dental plan that includes orthodontia coverage, and we'll talk about that. No changes to life and disability. The renewal with vision, which is a slight decrease, is also a 2-year rate guarantee. For the EAP program, we're recommending you change from Aetna to a company called NextGen. We did a full comprehensive marketing and interviewed different vendors in this space, and we're recommending NextGen because they're actually including some additional in-person counseling visits, HR support, and health advocacy services for employees. So employees can use them not just for employee assistance, but also they provide services to help employees with any claims or billing issues, help them with appeals. So this was a company that has been very popular in the Northeast, but they moved their headquarters to North Carolina in the last 2 years, and they've been growing steadily. I think Tiffany Shelley also worked with them in a previous life and had a good experience. So we're recommending that change to the EAP program. And again, the new coverage that we're recommending you offer is pet insurance. It's a completely voluntary benefit. Again, a very popular benefit over the last 2 years. So we're recommending that as well. And then again, no changes to your voluntary programs. Any questions so far before I keep moving?
Any comments or questions for Linda at this point, Commissioners?
Yes, Mayor.
Commissioner Compton?
Thank you. Thank you, Linda, for doing this. It was great news. And Tiffany, under Blue Cross, with being changes under the Blue Cross itself, such as things that are covered for employees under Blue Cross. I'm trying to think of something, some little specialty item like CPAP or anything like that associated with medical.
No changes. Great question. We'll get to a slide in a minute that does show one plan improvement for people on the buy-up PPO plan, but otherwise the benefits remain the same.
Great. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Good question. Next slide. Next slide. So we like to show just a little bit of history for what your increases have been on your medical pharmacy plan. And you can see here we've highlighted very few plan changes going back to 2013. And your rate increases have been well under trend. You've had some decreases over the past year. Medical trend has run pretty steady between 9% and 7%. And again, this year, a 5% decrease. And last year, we negotiated that increase from Blue Cross from 9% down to 4%. So we market that plan every few years, and you move from Aetna to Blue Cross back in 2018. And again, you can see here you've experienced very competitive increases on the Blue Cross plan. Next slide. So this might be a little bit hard to read. I don't know if you have printed copies in front of you, but it's basically a high-level summary of the benefit provisions. And to answer Bobby Compton's questions, the PPO plan, which does still have copays for physician visits, Blue Cross is changing that where the first 3 visits for your primary care visits are actually going to be a $0 copay. So there is one improvement to the plan design. When we benchmark your plan designs each year against your peers, other cities and towns, other employers your size in North Carolina, I mean, these plans stack up really well. Your out-of-pocket maximum on both plans, which is $34.25 for individuals in the HRA plan, or if you have family coverage, it's $68.50. And then the PPO plan, the out-of-pocket is $2,500 for an individual or $5,000 for family. So, I mean, fairly generous benefits when you benchmark these against your peers. And we also benchmark what your employees pay in premiums. Those are, generous as well compared to your peers. So you're offering, great plans when you compare them to what your peers are offering to their employees. Just a note, because the town of Mooresville has a very robust wellness program, which I think has helped with some of your lower renewal increases, as you do biometric screenings each year and other incentives. So the screenings previously we negotiated with Blue Cross when you moved to them in 2018, they've covered the cost of those screenings. They're no longer going to cover the cost of that, but they're offering a discount. So to continue with the on-site biometric screenings, it'll cost the town about $10,000. And we've discussed this with Tiffany and her group, and that's in the budget, especially with a decrease. Next slide. So a lot of small numbers on this page. I just really included this to just make a few comments. One of them is you'll see that the enrollment in the HRA plan is about 57% of your employees are enrolled in that plan, and about 43% are enrolled in the PPO plan. That's been pretty steady over the years. Every year you have a little bit of migration down to the HRA plan, but I mean, clearly your employees enjoy the choice of having these two plans, you know, based on the enrollment split between them. And I'm pointing out here at the top under assumptions that we're recommending passing on that decrease equally between the town and the employees. So they'll actually experience a decrease in their payroll deductions this year, which I think is really good news. And employees have not experienced an actual increase in the medical plan going back to 2018. So very few times can I say that when I'm working with other clients. I mean, they're typically every year increasing deductibles and increasing rates. So all good news here. Next slide. So this is your loss ratio this year with Blue Cross. You're a fully insured plan, and you can see the loss ratio is 68.7%. In years past, it's been closer to 82, 85. We've seen this with most employers this year in the year of COVID during the months of March, April, May, where claims and utilization have gone down. People are delaying elective procedures, but we totally anticipate that going back up post-COVID, and we're already starting to see a claims and utilization increase. Next slide. So you do have some large claims on your plan this year. The top one at $361,000, that was a liver transplant. And we do have some ongoing issues with some other large claimants, which plays into your renewal. But despite that, you know, we were still able to negotiate a decrease, and it's actually less large claims that you've had in the past. Again, people have been delaying elective procedures, but certainly those that are very sick and need the care, they are going for that care. So you're still going to continue to see large claimants on your plan, but less so than in previous years. Next slide. This is just an illustration, something we provide to the town, and Deborah Hockett and the finance group is the town provides an HRA fund to employees that are on the HRA plan to help them with their deductibles. So we illustrate a couple different scenarios. The town has never spent the full fund each year, but we do budget for that. But in reality, you've been coming in spending about 85 to 90% of that fund. Next slide. And next slide. So now on to dental. Are there any questions about medical before I move on to dental?
Commissioners, any comments or questions for Linda?
Yes, Mayor, I have one, please.
Yes, please, Commissioner Compton.
Okay, thanks again, Linda. Okay, on the medical side, those that are on Medicare in the town provides a supplement. How's the supplement work into this? I know it's probably not Blue. I don't even know what it is. It's not Blue Cross, but is with retirees on Medicare also fit somewhere in this plan, or is that something totally different?
That is something totally separate. That is for your post 65 retirees. There's no coordinations between the two plans, so that's an entirely separate plan.
Okay, didn't realize that. Okay, thank you.
Yep. So moving on to dental, and again, we show the history of your increases. Well under dental trend, going back to 2016, where you did have a bit of an increase there at 13%, but we negotiated that from 19%. But for the past 5 years, you've been under dental trend, which is running about 6.5 to 7%. We did do a full comprehensive marketing of the dental plan last year. You ended up staying with Aetna. We negotiated that renewal down from 9% to 3.5%. Plus, we added a plan improvement where employees and their dependents on that plan, if they went to have a preventive screening, they were able to increase their calendar year maximum benefit by an additional $250 in the following year. So a 3.5% increase plus a plan improvement last year. And then this year, Aetna is, it's a 6% increase, but we're going to talk a little bit more about that with the dual offer that we're recommending. Next slide. So this is what the increase looks like. Again, it's a 6% increase with an $8,000 premium credit to the town. And, you know, a little less than 50% of your members last year were able to get their preventive care screenings. And so they're therefore enjoying an additional benefit maximum of $250 towards their dental plan, which is pretty impressive considering last year was COVID and many people were not going to the dentist. But clearly your employees enjoy their dental plan and they're using it. So, and just a highlight of the benefits here, but we're going to talk more about how this differs if you offer a dual choice dental plan. Next slide. So this is what the increase looks like if you were just to maintain the one plan and pass on a 6% increase. And what that translates to, and I don't know how hard these numbers are to read on your end, but a 6% increase to employees per month is at a high of less than $4 a month in an increase. So, and then it's pre-tax, so it actually shows up a little bit less than that as an increase in their paycheck. And you have really good participation. 535 of the employees and those eligible are participating in the dental plan. So if you were to maintain this dental plan, it would be a $14,000 increase to the town, $8,400 increase to the employees in aggregate annually. So that's what that increase looks like if you were just to maintain the plan that you have now. Next slide. So this is what we're recommending is a dual option renewal where your current plan becomes the base plan. And then we add in a buy-up option for employees that increases their annual maximum from $1,250 to $1,500. It also offers orthodontic coverage for both children and adults. And that would be covered at 50% up to a lifetime maximum benefit of $1,500. Next slide. So this is what happens if you introduce a buy-up plan the way we modeled this out with our underwriters and working with Aetna. We are assuming at least a 20% migration to the buy-up dental plan. This actually lowers the town increase because in this assumption and the way we've modeled out the rates and the contributions, the town's costs actually decrease because we're suggesting you decrease what you contribute to the buy-up plan and employees will pay more to be in that buy-up plan, but not significantly more. You can see that on the right side of the screen. So it shows what an increase to the employee would be if they choose to move from the current plan to the buy-up plan, which covers orthodontia. So increases range between $12 and $16 a month. So this actually, again, reduces what the town's paying. It gives employees additional choice if they're willing to pay more to buy up to a plan that has some additional coverage. The more enrollment you have moved to this plan, it actually continues to reduce what the town is paying in an increase. So in this modeling, assuming you have 20% enrollment move over, it actually decreases what the town's paying each year a little bit, $5,000, and increases what the employees will pay. But again, to kind of mirror what you're doing on your medical plan, clearly your employees enjoy having choice. So we're recommending you offer this dual option plan and allow employees to buy up to the dental if they so choose. Any questions on the dental?
Comments or questions, commissioners?
We think it's a no-brainer. Next slide. Next slide. So again, this is just a summary of what your vision plan looks like. It's through VSP. They're offering a 3.9% decrease. You have really good enrollment in this plan, and it renews again in 2 years. VSP is the Cadillac of vision providers. So based on the enrollment you have in this plan, people really seem to enjoy it. We never have issues. We never have complaints. It's a great plan with a Cadillac provider. Next slide. And again, this is just showing the employee contributions, the enrollment by tier. It's actually a decrease to the town, a decrease to the employees, and you can see how that impacts the decreases to employees' payroll contributions. Next slide. Just some history on your vision plan. So it's been running really well for the last 5 or 6 years. So a very popular benefit. Next slide. Just sharing again that we marketed your basic life plan. The town pays about $70,000 a year towards basic life coverage. You offer a benefit to your employees, which is one-time salary. And just to note that when we benchmark that against other cities, counties, towns, it's a generous benefit that you offer. It's one-time salary. Many other municipal clients provide a flat $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 benefit. We moved that plan from Aetna to Voya back in 2017. And even with the renewal increase you experienced last year, you're still paying less than you were paying back in 2011. So that plan renews again next year. Next slide. So that's it. It was pretty quick, all good news. I'll be happy to entertain any questions that you have at this time.
Commissioners, any comments or questions for Linda?
Mayor?
Commissioner Compton?
Thank you. No question. I just want to say great numbers, great presentation. Thank you so much for your work in this, and of course, Tiffany and Shelley also. This is a great report. I think it's better than what we've heard in the past in most cases. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the partnership. We really enjoy working with you all. And Tiffany, do you have anything to add that I missed?
No, I think you covered it all. I'm very excited about this benefit year. So looking forward to getting open enrollment started hopefully soon.
That's next. We're already working on it. So more to come.
Well,
Thank you,
thank you,
everybody.
thank you for your time. Does anybody else have a question? Comment? Linda, as always, it's always good to see you, especially this year with such great news. So we really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you all. You have a good day and a good weekend.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Commissioners, we're going to go ahead and move on to the regular agenda, and it's agenda item 5A, which is an award of contract, and Ms. Kraft.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. This is an award of contract to Charles Underwood for a bunch of work that they have been doing at the water treatment plant number 2 at our high service pump station. You've been updated through some Friday reports and things on some of the issues that we've had there. If you remember, our high service pump station is a medium voltage system. What we are learning through this exercise is that medium voltage power is very expensive, and there's not a lot of people that know how to work on it. The good news is through this contract is we now have 2 operating pumps at the high service pump station. We will be able to take our backup pump down. We've been renting a backup pump just to make sure that we are always in a position to be able to serve Mooresville, our industrial customers, our residential customers, and everybody. So we're nearing the end of it, and then this contract is to cover the costs associated with the various electrical repairs we've had to make, and mechanical repairs, and emergency pump rental. And the total cost for this contract, it's not on the slide. to add that in there. I apologize, I don't have the number. It's actually between two separate quotes and it's not in this item. It's approximately $525,000 that we've spent since October to make repairs and do troubleshooting to figure out exactly what the issues were in the system and get them corrected. And I'll make sure that that's added in this before Monday night. And with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you, Allison. Any comments or questions, commissioners?
Mayor, I have just one.
Yes, Commissioner West.
Ms. Kraft, so for these repairs, when do you estimate that they will be completed?
So one pump is back in service, pump 4. That's one of our 400 horsepower pumps. The second 400 horsepower pump will be back in service hopefully next week. The transformer is at one location, the motor is in the second location, and then the pump itself is with Underwood, and then Underwood is coordinating all the rest of this. So at that point, we'll have 3 of our high service pumps back, and then our 4th one actually has a warranty issue from some work that was done a year ago, and we're not dealing with that until we have the rest of these put back in service. So next week will be 75%, and then probably another month or so not associated with this contract will be back up to all of our pumps in the high service pump station operating, which is well more than what we need to meet current demand and summer demand even.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, thank you, Ms. Kraft. Appreciate it. Commissioners, we'll move on to 5B, and this is an update from Cammie on DOT projects. Hope we have some good news, Cammie.
Good morning. I've got some updates on 3 of the projects from NCDOT, and we met with them over the phone. They gave us just some information, and unfortunately 150, as you can see, they're anticipating additional 2-year delay here for this project. All of the NCDOT projects, they have been released for preliminary engineering. Not all the projects have been released for right-of-way. 150 has been released for right-of-way acquisition. So this one, they are moving forward with that. And probably the biggest thing on this one for that delay was based on some issues that they're having with relocating the Duke transmission lines. And then as far as the right-of-way acquisitions and purchases, because of the suspension last year, any of the purchases that had not been completed, those ones are having to be sort of updated and potentially, new appraisals and things going. So that new date is sort of a projection based on where they're starting at now and what they're projecting as far as utility relocations, and then being able to start let in 25. Next slide, please. Williamson Road widening. This is for both sections A and B. I'll start with section B because that's the section from Brawley School to 150 that would connect to the 150 widening. That let date is currently consistent with what Highway 150 has as the let date, 2025. This project was not released for right-of-way, so that progress is still stagnant, and they have let us know that right now this is the construction date and it's subject to change depending on the progress of the right-of-way and when they will commence that right-of-way acquisition. Section A is from 77 to Brawley School Road, and this let date is still July of 2024. And again, right-of-way was not released on this one. It was just preliminary engineering that is allowed to continue. So again, dates are subject to change based on when that right-of-way will actually commence. Next slide, please. And then Brawley School Road widening. This one, again, PE, preliminary engineering was approved to move forward. They have the similar construction let date of 2023. And again, right of way will just depend on when they get started and whether that construction let date remains the same. This one, they were showing a little bit more information there as far as the number of parcels that they have remaining. And similar, once they begin that right of way acquisition process with that, anything that hadn't been completed, they'll have to update whatever wasn't completed there and start from there to anticipate what that projected timeline would be at that point. So I'm happy to answer any questions if I can, and if you have any.
Well, Cami, that's not very good news, but thank you for the update. Commissioners, any comments or questions? Okay, thank you, Cami. So we'll move on to agenda item 5C, voluntary annexation. Erica?
This is to consider a voluntary annexation and utility extension request from Cottle Exchange Holdings LLC for property located on P&C Path Lane and to adopt the annexation ordinance. Next slide, please. Cottle Exchange Holdings, they're the applicant and owner. It's 6 parcels and it is a voluntary annexation and utility request. Next slide, please. The property is located off of P&C Path Lane, which is off of Highway 3, 160-acre site. Next slide, please. Does have an approved site plan of 544 new residents. Next slide, please. And this is new, so Danny and I wanted to make sure we gave you a minute to look at it. These are some financial impact assumptions we've made based on that approved plan. So we believe this could bring in 1.1 million in tax revenue and about 20,000 for the PAL bill fund. Next slide, please. And from a staff perspective, we don't have any concerns from any of the departments on this request.
Thank you, Erica. Any comments or questions, commissioners?
Mayor, I have one.
Yes, Commissioner West.
Mr. Wilson, in our meeting earlier this week, you were going to look into if a TIA had been done or where we were sitting on that. Do you have any updates?
Yeah, the TIA has been approved. That's completed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item 5D. Mr. Wilson.
Yes, sir. So this is a utility extension request for the freshwater property. Next slide, please. The applicant is Nest Communities. The owners are the Gray family and William Freshwater and Jan Freshwater. This property is within our corporate limits and it is just over 95 acres. Next slide, please. So I'll run through these slides really briefly. Just wanted to touch base. I know we've seen this property a few times in the past. So it is in the Tier 1 growth area. Future land use is employment center, and currently it's zoned R3 residential. Next slide, please. So it is within at the very edge of the fire 5-mile response area, but it is outside the fire area for response time. Next slide, please. Utilities would need to be extended at developers' costs. There are no capacity issues. However, the water probably would need to be bled to make sure the chlorine residual levels are kept accurate, which is not an uncommon thing that happens and would probably move further south. That bleeding would probably move further south from where it currently is at Pine Lake Prep Athletic Facility further north on 115. Next slide, please. So it is within a patrol zone, and Public Works really could not determine exactly what service needs would be required of the property, because we're not sure what's happening on the property. But it was annexed in last year, about I guess more than 6 months ago at this point, in June of last year. And this is just for a utility extension request. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can on this one.
Any comments or questions, commissioners? Comments or questions? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Heeman, do you have anything you'd like to share with the board?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay, does Ms. Crawford?
No, sir.
Okay, anything, commissioners, anything you would like to share, or staff, anybody has any updates or anything they'd like to share before we adjourn?
I would like to add one thing, Mayor, now that I'm thinking of it.
Yes, Mr. Heeman.
We will have Project Lucro on closed session Monday, so just to make you aware of that.
Thank you, Mr. Heeman. Anything else, anybody? Okay, well, I hope everybody will go ahead and adjourn. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday night in person.